Hey, welcome to New Jump City, everybody, where we recap the week in American and Japanese sequential art. I am your host, Christian, the unbiased king, Espinal. And joining me through Discord, it is the man, the myth, the legend, the tank top sage. It's Joshua Gangsta Time Cole.
It's called Partner, but it should be called Gangsta Time.
Josh?
Oh, that mute button.
Oh.
What up, guys? What's good, everybody listening?
Hey.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. And also making his triumphant return to the pod, it is Edgelord Big News Brian.
なんというビッグニュース
What's up, nerds? Hey. Oh boy, Brian's back. Very excited. We got My Hero Academia back just in time. Coincidence? I think not. So yeah, we got a fun show today. Let's not waste any time. Let's get into plugs. You could find me at the Chris Espinal on Twitter and Instagram. Joshua Cole, where can they find you?
At JD Cole_37. That's on Instagram, and at New Jump City Josh on Twitter.
Ooh yeah, Brian.
You can find me at b.esp on both Instagram and Twitter. And if you want to catch me when I'm streaming, you can find me at twitch.tv/itspunchline.
Hell yeah. You can follow the show itself at New Jump City on Twitter and Instagram, and also TikTok if you're cool. You could email the show itself at newjumpcity@gmail.com with questions, suggestions, anything you guys want us to talk about. And we usually answer and address any emails in our brand new pre-show chat show that we do every week. It's just a little casual chat that we have to start the show. Little catch-up thing. We talk about all sorts of things, not just manga there. So yeah, hit us up, watch that, listen to that show, and check that out. Email us there. If you prefer a more direct method, I guess, of reaching out, you could also comment under the YouTube video that we put up. We're still not super duper video capable quite yet, but as soon as we are, we'll be back to posting full videos on YouTube. In the meantime, I still put up the little audio versions of the show on YouTube. So if you prefer to listen to podcasts on there, please do. That would be super cool. Or you can listen to the audio version wherever you listen to podcasts. Spotify, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Pandora. We're on all of those things. So check us out on any of those platforms. And that's it, right? The subscribe thing, that's it. That is it for me. So let's get into the show proper. Spoiler alerts ahead. Let's get into it.
ブラッディ・クロス
Jujutsu Kaisen.
We're not starting with Hero?
Oh, Goop. Well, I already gave Jujutsu Kaisen this epic intro, so we're gonna keep going with Jujutsu.
It's all good.
I can't do this again, but thank you for keeping me honest. We're starting off with Jujutsu Kaisen, chapter 228, Inhuman Makio Shinjuku Showdown, part 6. Last we left off with Jujutsu Kaisen, there has been the ultimate battle between the two greatest sorcerers in the world. Of course, that's Gojo and Sukuna. They've been going at it pretty heavy with a high skill level Jujutsu battle. They're just exchanging domain and regular attacks left and right, curse techniques left and right, back and forth. Nobody has truly had the upper hand quite yet. It seems to have been at a stalemate at this time. Gojo keeps trying to capture Sukuna in his domain, but one way or the other, Sukuna continues to break free. And so Gojo has decided to try something new, and he's made a condensed barrier with Sukuna, trapping him and Sukuna within his domain, which is surprising to everybody because apparently his domain now is smaller than a basketball.
Bigger than a baseball?
Bigger than a baseball, smaller than a basketball. Would that make it a softball?
Mm,
A softball domain?
yeah, like a softball domain.
Yeah, I feel like that's the one in
Or like
between.
a volleyball domain? Is that smaller than a basketball? Not
I
really.
think so.
Hmm,
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't
do
know
a
for sure.
softball.
Brian, can you look up if a volleyball is smaller than a basketball?
Yeah.
This is why you're back, Brian. So you could answer our stupid questions in the middle of the show. So we have this potential volleyball domain.
A
And-
basketball is bigger than a volleyball.
Okay, so
Okay.
I would say this is a volleyball sized one
Sure.
because it still feels like too small to be a softball.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
Plus, Japan loves their volleyball, so this feels more appropriate.
This is true. This is you guys don't know this because I speak to Gege Akutami personally, but he's a big fan of Haikyuu, and this was his personal tribute to Haikyuu.
I believe you 100%.
Thank you. Anyway, so inside the volleyball domain, everybody is just confused. It's like, wait, you can do that? And Meme is just like, yeah. I mean, you keep saying that everything's impossible that they do. And Maki asks, is like, why? I mean, it's not like a barrier's external appearance never match what's inside. And the one of the teachers here explains that, like, well, yeah, technically that's true, but there are limits to, how much that makes sense because the size of a domain is basically dependent on what you can imagine. So it's harder to picture yourself. It's hard to make a domain when you can't picture yourself fitting into it, if that makes sense. So there's how was he able to envision himself fitting into like a ball like that? And Choso brings up the point of the prison realm. And yeah, they basically explain that being stuck in the prison realm, which is this basically like a Rubik's Cube size, has, I guess, inspired Gojo in a way of being able to size his domains because the prison realm is actually much bigger than its contents. So being stuck in there for so long has had him thinking, is like, oh, I can make a domain this small. He can envision himself in a being confined in that small space. So that's pretty cool. The teacher dude is like, but why is he continuously changing the conditions of his domain? And Miwa explains that it turns out it takes time for every sorcerer to eventually hit the precise blend of external and internal conditions and volume and construction speed for barriers, especially domain barriers. This, of course, is a foreign concept to Hakari and Higuruma, because of course their domains are inherent to their curse techniques. So
Right.
they don't really their domains don't really play by the same rules because they don't inhabit a barrier, if that makes sense. They don't like make barriers like everybody else. It's just part of what they do naturally as jujutsu sorcerers. So
I'm glad that they explained that.
yeah. Well, this is Akutami for you. He explains everything. So he explains like, well, anyway, like the conditions aren't something you adjust or you ordinarily adjust every time, And he's like, did he just adjust from small to large because of the high difficulty? And I guess people are trying to guess that, like, well, maybe, he wanted to use the large barrier to enclose Malevolent Shrine's effective range. And I guess he's like trying to make a more dense barrier at this time. But at this point, the domain starts to like fucking vibrate, basically. And all of a sudden, these slashes start coming out of it. And everybody's like, whoa, what's that? And Okotsu explains that Sukuna must have decreased his domain's range in order to raise the output that it puts out. So I guess exchanging range for power. And at this point, that's when Gojo's domain breaks again. And we see that Sukuna is actually injured. He's got like this big like blood stain in the middle of his chest. And basically like, whoa, everybody's like, damn, they got him. And they explain that two things happen simultaneously. that Sukuna destroyed Gojo's domain from the outside, and Gojo was able to damage Sukuna enough so he couldn't maintain the Malevolent Shrine. So the Malevolent Shrine starts to disappear. Immediately, like, the teacher yells for like time, how long did the domain last, and it apparently has lasted for 3 minutes and 9 seconds. So both of their domains are down, which means that neither of them can use their curse techniques. However, they bring up the point that, of course, like we learned recently, Gojo can now replenish his cursed energy using reverse curse technique. But they also bring up the point that Sukuna can do the same thing. And Okotsu's like, yeah, but, I can do reverse curse technique too, but that doesn't mean, like, I can recover my burnt out curse technique. But they explained that, like, well, Sukuna is different, though, because he was able to learn how to turn himself into a cursed object from a single occasion with Kenjaku. So
Right.
probably seeing Gojo be able to do what he did with reverse curse technique was he like just once was enough to be able to learn it for himself and replenish his curse technique. So the battle continues. They're just like going back and forth. Gojo's trying to like use his technique to just like capture Gojo in his place, but he's dodging everything. They get into close quarters and they fight for a second, but Sukuna seems to like expand the distance between them. And at this point, Gojo starts thinking to himself, he's like, why? Sukuna is only activating curse techniques granted by the domain. And he's like, when the domain's internal and external conditions were reversed, thereby decreasing resistance to pressure from the inside, he took a risky move rather than try to break the barrier from the inside. So, I guess he's like talking about like what happened inside the domain, that like regardless of what was going on inside the domain, Sukuna took a risk and tried to just still destroy it from the outside. So he's like, inside the domain, he can't use an architectural structure to attack like before. So he proceeded as if he had the advantage. But at that point, then the obvious counter would have been for Sukuna to use the 10 Shadows technique, specifically the Maharaga Shikigami that we all know and love, that fucking OP monster. And he was confused as to why he didn't use it in the domain. And Gojo's just like, could it be that he just remembers my conversation with Megumi and knows that it's not a move that he can afford to waste? But then we get a single panel with the Maharaga wheel clicking, and then we end the chapter with one panel of Gojo's nose starting to bleed. And he kind of looks like he's like not getting knocked out a little bit. Like his eyes are a little, like his eyelids are coming down a little bit. But yeah, that's the end of the chapter. Pretty dense. Lots of stuff going on, lots to commentate on. But Josh, what did you think about Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 228?
First of all, well done, Chris. Yeah, that was quite the commentary-based chapter, and you delivered that well.
Thanks.
Excuse me. So this, unfortunately, when I opened this chapter up, it was on the last page, and I seen that both Gojo and Sukuna were still alive. So, with I had that expectation reading this chapter. However, I was still I wasn't sure who came out victorious, like towards the end of the chapter. So it was still kind of like it's anxious reading this. Like, outside of the explanations, like all of these like action moments with Gojo and Sukuna, and just looking at like their facial expressions, Sukuna looks so confident nonstop. Like I have this bad feeling that Gojo is going to lose. Like it looks like he's in an uphill battle. So I think I think Akutami is doing a really good job at keeping the suspense up, and he's keeping the suspense up by showing us these quick flashes of intense combat and strategy, sandwiched between all of this commentary that does two things, right? Provide, it makes us understand what's happening in the fight, obviously, but I feel like it's also setting the ground for future fights so that we completely understand the nature of domains, how they could maybe even improve or warp or like subvert expectations based on what the groundwork being put in now. I just feel like this fight is being used as a tool to kind of like really, to try to further flesh out the combat system of the series. So I'm enjoying that part of the fight, of this little arc. Man, I completely forgot about the 10 Shadows technique, and I forgot about that beast mode summon. I guess I feel like if Gojo had to deal with it one-on-one, it wouldn't be a problem. Like, it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but there's also Sukuna, so it's kind of looking good, man. I don't know what else Gojo could do outside of further manipulating the and recreating the rules for barriers as he goes. A lot to think about. Brian, how do you feel about this chapter?
This chapter was like a huge swing in Sukuna's favor. Like you said, Sukuna does seem like extremely confident throughout all this, and he has, I feel like, a lot more up his sleeve compared to Gojo. Like, Gojo so far has been reacting to everything Sukuna has been throwing at him, like he's had to be the one to kind of beat him at his own game instead of being the one in control, so that's a little concerning because so it's essentially like overwhelming power versus like technique at this point, like, right? Like, it's how long can Gojo put up with this before he just loses all of his like everything that he could bring to the table, like, because it looks like he's starting to get tired, or like the effect of using this much cursed energy is affecting his body. So it looks like Gojo could be in trouble if this fight goes on any longer, and Sukuna still has the 10 Shadows at his disposal. I don't know if he could use it instead of his original curse technique. Like, if his curse technique gets exhausted, does that mean he can use the 10 Shadows, or is that off the table?
Yeah, I mean, he was talking about more when he was inside the domain. So I guess he assumes, well, I think they're both like replenished at this point because they can both use reverse curse technique to heal their their original curse technique. So,
but I don't think that's what Sukuna's doing.
Well, that the Maharaga is part of the 10 Shadows. So that little thing he does, that's the 10 Shadows.
Yeah, but I don't think he's using reverse curse technique to replenish his stuff, like to replenish his curse technique. I think he's just since he knows that Gojo can't use his curse technique. He's just, I think
Gojo is using his.
Huh?
Gojo is using his curse technique.
Yeah, but not right now.
Yeah, he is. Like, those craters that you see when Sukuna is running away, that's Gojo. That's Gojo's curse technique. I think that's like limitless.
No, I think they're just hand-to-hand fighting because they're both burnt out right now. That's just them fighting. I don't know if he can replenish it that fast.
No, because you see, like, those rocks, they come together. Like, there's on page 17, there's like the panel where Sukuna, he sees the rocks and then he dodges them, but behind him, they're all like converging on each other in midair.
I thought that was just them being anime as fuck.
I mean, it's both. I think it's both.
But anyway, I'm a little interested to see how this goes. If Maharaga comes out, if he's had Maharaga out this entire time, or had the wheel adapting to Gojo this entire time, Gojo's fucked. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Gojo is fucked if this has been the case this entire time. And Sukuna has outplayed his ass.
Is that what Maharaga does?
Yeah, Maharaga adapts. Like the same thing doesn't work twice on Maharaga. So the only way to really beat him is if you take him out in one hit. Otherwise he just keeps adapting to everything that you do.
Yeah.
So if he has had him active this entire time, Gojo is in a very, very bad place. Like extremely bad. So that's a little concerning. I love how in-depth everything is, considering this gives shades of a Hunter x Hunter. But I feel like at this point it's not even like, it's not even like far away from it. This feels like Nen, like how in-depth everything is. Like it feels like they just took this power system to another level with its like complexity and versatility, And this isn't what I thought Curse Technique was gonna be like initially watching the series. Like at the beginning, it doesn't feel like it's going to become this extremely in-depth, like versatile and limitless fucking power system, and it just does it. And it does it super effortlessly, and I'm really excited to see how much further these two can take it, because for a fact they're not going to stop at this. Like they're going to keep fucking expanding and expanding and expanding upon it, and I'm super excited to see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, this was my really good chapter of the week. I don't know about you guys, but what do you?
Yeah, it's mine too.
Hey, Josh, not yours? Josh?
Yeah.
Oh, is this? We were just saying this is our really good chapter of the week.
Oh, all right. No, it's not mine, but I'll jot that down.
Okay. Well, it is mine and Brian's, and also the audience's really good chapter of the week.
Wow.
Certified RGC.
No, you're fine.
RGC. Certified RGC.
Drop the ball, guys.
No, don't. Hey, you're fine. Hey, we need these harmonic convergence really good chapters of the week have to be organic. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
But
That's a fact.
hey, if you guys want to vote on the poll, we do it every Sunday when the chapters drop on Viz's official Shonen Jump app. So I usually put up the poll a couple hours after, or the next day or so. So subscribe to us so you never miss the poll. But yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen is the really good chapter of the week for the audience and myself and Brian. I just really love the nuance and the technique and stuff. One of the things that I really appreciate about Sukuna that is an underplayed thing, but he's like a guy who understands this power system better than pretty much anybody else in the verse. Like,
yeah,
I think he just has an intrinsic understanding that's deeper than pretty much every character in this. It's why he's able to just look at something and then learn it in one shot. I think he just understands what curses are, where nobody really has that understanding. He's like an OG of the sport. He's like a veteran in the league, of Jujutsu Sorcerers. If you're looking at it through a sports thing, he's just been playing the game for so long that he's seen everything.
He's LeBron.
Yeah. He's LeBron. If LeBron was also a murdering sociopath. But man, this was yeah, this is just so cool to see like this kind of stuff being broken down by the characters and everybody just genuinely being as invested as we are. Um, I also don't think this particularly ends here. I would be surprised if it did, but Akutami has a way of destroying characters in the most heartless way possible. So there's a tiny piece of me that that thinks that the very next panel is going to be Gojo dropping dead and then Sukuna just explaining how he had him all along.
I just wonder if, like, Gojo does have something that we haven't seen yet.
I'm sure he does.
Like a lot of the things that we were surprised by with Gojo is not like, it's not that he has anything new with his curse technique. It's just the way that he applies his curse technique that's been expanded upon.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wonder if he has more to his curse technique, you know?
Well, here's the thing that I don't really like want to doubt Gojo just yet, just because ever since that battle with Toji, he's pretty much committed himself to improving his already broken curse technique. So, like, he realized that in that moment that like I have to improve myself. You know, like my power is not simply the end all be all, and that I have to jujutsu. Like curse technique is a skill that you hone, and if you don't hone it, you're pretty much dead. So I feel like Gojo also has a lot to show, and I still want to, maybe this is a little naive, but I still want to posit that he somehow wins.
I think he will. I still think Gojo wins this fight.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I just have a feeling. I mean, I'm like, my more rational brain is like, yeah, he's gonna die here, but
it's because we haven't seen him get challenged in a long time.
Get serious?
We haven't seen him get challenged like Toji challenged him, and we can still see, like, they still bring it up to this day how much that affected him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people forget who he is when he's under pressure, you know?
Yeah. He also once said that even with Sukuna having all his fingers, it would be a challenge, but he would win in the end. And I think that would be a very interesting plot twist if Akutami like stuck by that.
The reason why I say Gojo wins this. Oh shit, I fucking lost my train of thought.
Damn.
But that's unfortunate.
Well, yeah, it is. Well, if you think about it again, let me know. But I'll say this. Yeah, I think that's those are all my thoughts really for Jujutsu Kaisen. It's a fucking awesome chapter. I'm so glad again that it's not off next week. Very excited to read more. But that is all I have to say about Jujutsu. Any rebuttals? Anything else about it?
Nopers.
Josh?
I don't know, man.
All right.
Find the page. Anyway, carry on.
Carry on.
All right. Well, let's move onward to the next series.
Tell that pussycat girl me know what.
My Hero Academia. This is My Hero Academia, chapter 393, A Girl's Ego. Last we left off, we had gotten a little more deeper into Toga's backstory. We know that she has apparently that she's not murdered anybody in her past up to the point she, like, right before she joined the League. You know, she became a villain later in life after a life of people just assuming that she murdered all these people because her quirk.
Wait. She didn't pop her murder cherry?
I think that's what, yeah, I think that's what, like, we're supposed to have gotten from that flashback.
Wow.
And I don't know if it's true. That's why we'll get into it, but
No way.
But yeah, so we learned that, she became a murderer later, and after society had basically assumed that she was a murderer because her quirk is based in ingesting other people's blood. So, she ended up in the league. And she was fighting Uraraka and Suyu, who are just trying to like talk her down and diffuse the situation by talking to her. And she manages to end up Toga ends up managing to stab Uraraka in midair. And that's where the chapter ended with going into a different flashback where Twice was asking her why does she have her own villain name. So we pick up continuing that flashback, and we see the League of Villains trying to come up with a little name for her, so she won't, she can have a cool villain name. And Dabi is just like, stupid. That's just some crowd pleasing crap, a holdover from the quirk registration system. And Mr. Compress is like, well, your name's Dabi, so that's not your name. Shigaraki goes on to explain that like there basically used to be no difference between heroes and villains. That there was a theory behind the idea of like naming yourself in the first place as an alias for when you started having an anonymous enemy and they needed to call you by something, so they would give you an alias. And eventually, like, people started going all in on their code names, and this was kind of like the little spark that created a superhero society in the first place. So Shigaraki is like, but I'm good though, I don't need a name, and Toga's like, yay, this is why I joined the league. And she says, I want to live as Himiko Toga. And we
did they mention what Dabi's name means? What Dabi means?
No. Do you know what Dabi means?
Yeah, apparently it means cremation.
Nice. So his name is Cremation.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool supervillain name. But anyway, we cut back to the present. Toga has just stabbed Uraraka. Uraraka manages to hold on to Toga, and causes her to float with her zero gravity quirk. And as she's floating away, she yells out that, she says like, your rules tell me not to pity you, but don't you dare. And Uraraka says that it's not pity, and she's like, well, you know just the right things, but in the end, you'll toss me into a cage on death row, or you'll murder me outright, just like they did to Jin. And she says, like, win or lose, it's survival of the fittest. Is like a fucking kill or be killed type of thing. And Uraraka mentions, like, seems like the obvious truth for us both. And Toga's like, if it's not pity, then it's your ego talking. And if this is if our egos is clashing, then you're dead meat, hero. And she just continues to create shapeshifted clones of Uraraka and the others, and continues on the barrage. The news people are looking on in like just horror because they mentioned that quirks grow stronger with every generation until no one can hope to control them. So, this is like the start of a doomsday theory. And now that theory is like coming true here, as this one girl is transforming the very world with her emotions. And she sends Toga sends a wave of clones after Uraraka. Uraraka just barely like fights them off, touching them and activating her quirk, sending a bunch of clones floating. So they're like the Toga clones are like, so what if we're floating? No damage done. And Uraraka says, like, exactly, that's the point. My zero gravity isn't a power for hurting people. So Uraraka goes on to continue to shout out that You've intentionally killed people. I can't wipe your slate clean. But when I saw your face, it's like I had no choice. But I figured there must have been a reason that because you looked really sad when I last saw you in that war. And Toga's like, I'm not sad. You're sad. And Uraraka's like, true. We both were. And she's like, you scared me back then in the forest because I didn't understand you back then. And also you were trying to stab me, right? That was the thing. that was a good reason to get scared. But she's like, given the situation, how could you grin like that? Such a genuine smile. And it's her like scary smile. And
the fiend smile.
Yeah, me. I just stabbed someone.
Archfiend Toga smile.
The what?
Archfiend Toga.
Yeah, she was going crazy with that smile. In that moment, she also remembers Twice told her that like you'll live as Himiko Toga. Sounds great. Drop all the bodies like you like and become whoever the hell you want. Cool. So, she just remembers that people have told her to stop making that creepy smile. And Uraraka's like, I know I pushed you away that one time, and maybe this isn't a world where you could be yourself. And she's like, I know that, but even so, I've observed so many happy faces in my time. But being able to declare what you love and doing it with a smile, doing it and do it with your whole face. And she says that your smile is so perfect, and honestly, I'm jealous of that. And at that point, that's when Toga starts crying, and she continues to remember people like saying that her smile was like devious and stuff, and she's it's like contrasted with Toga being like, and I don't want to pretend I never saw your amazing smile. And by touching one of the Twice clones, she is able to transmit her quirk through all of them, causing all of them to float upward. And the chapter ends with a big 2-page spread where she reaches out towards Toga and asks her, is like, look, I can't erase all your crimes and approve of everything you've done, but if any part of you feels like talking to me, you can have a lifetime's worth of my blood. So let's have that chat about romance, Himiko Toga. And the last panel is like kid versions of Toga and Uraraka, with Uraraka offering her hand out for Toga to have some of her blood. And that's where the chapter ends. Josh, what did you think about My Hero Academia chapter 393? Josh?
God damn, the mute. That lessens the impact of what I was about to say.
Yeah.
RGC.
Whoa.
Oh, what the
Whoa.
Certified
RGC. Yeah, I'm a little shocked at Brian, but at the same time, I can understand. But so straight up, I think this was an incredibly well executed chapter for a handful of reasons. I said it on the podcast a handful of times that I was willing to be patient. I wanted to see where he would go with this story. And I was satisfied with this chapter. So I think it was really, I think this is the first time that I looked at Toga as such a threat. I realized that not only, is she using an entirely different person's quirk and their strongest move at that with Twice, right? But then she's infusing her own copies into it. She's reaching a whole new level. Just period. So it took me aback a little bit. So I was thoroughly impressed by that, where I feel like all the flashy stuff I've been seeing recently is kind of just for like meh. I don't know what did it for me this time, but the conversation that they've been having up to this point hasn't really been that potent to me. Nothing has really stood out, but it's kind of crazy how that all changed like within these last pages. So um it's the fact that Uraka, all right, what really did it for me was that Uraka is truly acknowledging that, you know, this has society not been the way it was in this hero world, you know, she could have been, you know, somebody that had been treated normally and not fell into the places that she fell into, which leads me to thinking about, you know, early on in the chapter, which, you know, was really cool for me because it brought back like earlier in the manga vibes when the villains were just like kind of hanging out, like, you know, in between arcs and shit. And, you know, Toga talks about when they're talking about like hero names and all that, they have an interesting conversation. I'm not gonna get into it, but Toga just mentions that she wants to be herself, which it was it was important that it was said that, you know, that was said in the beginning and how they ended, you know, the chapter with Uraka, because she wouldn't have been pushed to this villain group had it not been for society. She never wanted to be a villain per se. They were just the only people that accepted her, you know? And I'm not saying that point hasn't ever been made already, but this was, in my opinion, the best attempt and the most effective way of getting that across. She truly is a victim. Like, this is what Shigaraki was talking about when he was talking about how much he hates Hero Society in the beginning, when he used to scratch his face like a crackhead and be all interested in shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a true and effective criticism of the Hero Society and the change that needs to be made. And Uraka completely understands that. And it's completely within her character because she has always been understanding. And it doesn't come off as sappy because she genuinely wants to see people be happy, which is why she's suited to be a hero, much like Deku and a bunch of the other, you know, kids, etc. Right? So it just feels so organic and natural, this conversation happening, and she's saying like, look, like, things have happened in the past, you know, we can't, she says it straight up that the slate can't be wiped, but we can have a conversation. I can try and talk to you as the human you are, and we can make, you know, probably try to make sure that that this never happens to anybody else like you. uh, I think that's profound. I think this is the stuff that I was looking forward to reading this series, and I'm really, if I'm going to be proud of fictional characters, I am proud of Uraka in this moment. Like, the action was cool. She had a cool moment with her ability. You made a comment about the art last week, Chris, that I just really agree with. It's kind of hard to follow like the jumbled scenes. He doesn't do it as well as Oda does. Oda is like a master of organized chaos, like clean chaos. But still, like, Uraka had her moments and she took mad damage and still pressed forward. Like, she really held it down. And honestly, you guys already know, I would have loved to see more of Uraka and the rest of the other students, you know, stretched out in a longer series with more character building. But for what we're gonna get, this felt very complete for me. It feels like Toga crying right now and maybe having a hug, or however this is going to be resolved, whether it's nice or something tragic happens, it's gonna feel earned to me. And I have an emotional stake in it. It commented on something that I feel like we could learn in real life, and it's, like I said, great execution in the chapter as far as, you know, the characters and their situations. Round of applause from me on this chapter. I really enjoyed reading it.
That's actually huge coming from you.
Yeah. So, Brian, how'd you feel about this chapter?
I don't know. For some reason, I just couldn't get into this plot line, mainly because of like the context around the scene. I feel like this would have been like a hugely a much better this would have been a much better story arc if Deku wasn't involved, you know? I wish that it was just Uraraka's thing and it wasn't connected to him at all, because it feels like something that should be like separated, you know? It feels this moment is very much not involved with Deku at all, but for some reason, they just felt the need to throw this onto him, or throw him into this when he really didn't need to. I just I really after hearing us talk about it, I like it a lot more. But I don't know. It feels a little too late for me to be invested in this storyline, you know? But I'm sure if I reread the series, I'll enjoy it a little bit better. But as for now, the art's incredible. I understand the message they were going for, but it just feels like it took a few wrong routes to get to where it needed to. For me, at least.
Do you have more thoughts? Because I actually have a rebuttal.
No, I don't.
All right. So, in defense of the situation with Deku, I've actually had a revelation as well with that. That's why I'm actually glad you brought that up. So, Deku is actually really important and relevant to the dynamic between Toga and Uraka, and it's much clearer now. You can see that, like, that's kind of how the chapter was ended. She says, "So let's have that chat about romance, Himiko Toga," right? So initially, I thought it was just something thrown into the mix because these girls like the MC boy, the chat, you know what I'm saying, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. But now what I see it as is more as like just something common that they can talk about as regular people. Mm-hmm. And that being the link. I mean, Toga was attracted to Deku, which is normal, you know, aside from the bloodthirsty tendencies that come with, you know, her psychosis and her quirk, right? But otherwise, being attracted to someone is a pretty normal and like relatable thing. And not only do both of them, you know, have those same feelings and are trying to explore those, they even have similar feelings. So it's the same person, you know? So that's something that they could relate and talk about, and kind of has always been just this regular issue, this common, you know, thing that connects people. Like, all right, so take this for an example, right? Say like you put two people in a room, right? You put a black person, right, and you put a white person that's a white supremacist, but they don't know who's in the room with each other. They can't tell each other's voice, and they ask them general questions about things, right? And let's say they happen to relate on certain things. They relate to certain jokes or certain media and have a good time, and they realize they could probably be friends because, you know, they had a good laugh. But it just so happens that, you know, like, you know, had he known what he actually was, like, you know, he was like the white supremacist talking to a black person, right? You go where I'm going with this. He'd have an issue with this. So my thing is, Uraka's I think like the significance of her saying that at the end and with the Deku issue with them is that she's like, yo, like that has been one of the things that has kind of made Uraka believe that she can relate and make a meaningful connection with Toga. And therefore, you know, making her like a person worth saving and worth hearing out. You know, she's a very flawed person, but a person nonetheless. Like that, you know, it's kind of the best way I could put it. Those are my thoughts. I guess the Deku thing felt validated.
I guess Toga kind of appeals to like the human aspect of heroes, you know? Um like Dobby's story comes from the pressure of hero society. Um Toga is the human side of hero society, like, you know, everything that's wrong with that aspect. So I guess this, you know, makes sense that, Uraraka is trying to find like a human connection with her because that's not
Exactly.
afforded to her.
Exactly. That's exactly the case. And Deku is just one of the relevant connections they can talk about amongst other things. The more they would hang out and learn from each other as friends do. I think you hit the nail on the net exactly. Like she has not been given that same experience that normal people do. And what's her flaw? That she wants to suck the blood of people that she really likes. That's pretty rough, but I think that can be worked out. You know what I mean? To say someone
That's a
is a
difficulty.
psychopath and should be put like away from people, you try to work with that.
That's her.
Figure out what it is. Does it need to actually be blood? Is there something she could chew on when she starts feeling that could replicate the satisfaction? You know what I'm saying? There's more we can do as a society. I mean, look at all the technology and quirks they have. They could figure
Honestly,
something out.
I could actually picture Uraraka like visiting her and visiting Toga in prison and talking to her about shit.
Right, and every time she wants to suck Uraraka's blood, she either just lets her do it because she's cool with her like that because that's her friend, or she can be using some medical shit that they made to help her with it, and it can be practiced. So she could, be talking to her friend genuinely and helping her recover. I mean, helping her deal with,
like,
her issues or whatever.
Hold on.
Rehabilitate.
I think there's a bit of a misconception about that because Toga doesn't have like an addiction to that. Like she's not like a vampire, She doesn't need to or have like a need to suck blood. It's just her quirk. If she wants to use her quirk, she needs to suck the blood of whoever she wants to transform into. It's not necessarily that she has like an impulse towards it, but it is like the activating factor of her quirk. So a lot of people assume that that's her issue when if we look at the flashbacks where they were talking about how there was a bird who landed at in her backyard who died, and they assumed that Toga killed it so that she could suck their blood, which is leading to, like, I feel like Horikoshi was trying to signal us to believe that she didn't kill this bird. She didn't kill her friend back in the day, the boy she liked, or as far as I understand. Or like, she didn't, like, there was this friend who was injured and she was like just trying to kiss the boo-boo or whatever in that sense when she was younger. But it's not an impulse thing for her. She's not like
I see. So
yeah,
what you're saying is that she found out about the quirk when she did that out of just like reaction, the same way anybody else would, right?
Yeah.
Like a normal person, right?
Right.
And then after people found out that was her quirk, they started to assume that she was making things happen in order to use her quirk, where really she just happened to be in situation and was like, well, if it's already bleeding out, I might as well see what's up.
Well, here's the thing. I'm very fortunate in the fact that I've read My Hero Academia recently, and Toga's flashback in particular takes place over like several arcs. So it's very fragmented in the way we understand Toga's backstory, because I believe she does kill a young boy, and that's what sets her on her path to like run away, because her need is she doesn't have an impulsive need to suck people's blood, but she has like her ability, because she wants to transform into people who are like more ideal in society. That's why she has an infatuation for that young boy who was like a good kid and everybody like liked him and stuff. And there's Deku, who is like the ideal good guy, Uraraka, who's just a very nice person. That was her deal. It was more like to become them, because they represent the ideal of society, and maybe if she could be like them, she would be more accepted. so that's her like entire motivation, as far as I understand, as you know, in terms of Deku and Uraraka. And I think like she does have a genuine attraction towards Deku, but I think that's like more of the philosophy behind Toga, is that she is like, society has rejected her, and because her powers are assumed to be evil, people assume her to be evil. So she just like had a psychotic break and fell into that. She's almost like, she's like if Shinso were to let all that stuff, if Shinso were to let all that stuff get to him, that's why Shinso is so important to the story in that way, because it kind of sets up like Shinso, like Toga is evil Shinso. Like if Shinso gave up on society and decided to just like give in and just like, man, fuck it, then I guess that's what I'll be then, you know. But yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna be a hero no matter what.
Yeah, Shinso is lucky to have the disposition that he had, and you know, to not let it really get to him, and you know, to stick to his ideal. But not everybody can like have that mindset, you know. So, and Toga is like someone who is that. You know, there's, you know, we've seen like different examples of people being discriminated because of their quirks, whether they were like heteromorphs or, you know, people like Shinso and Toga, who just had evil sounding quirks, so everybody looked at them funny forever. But yeah, I just wanted to clear that up, I guess.
Who's left for the League of Villains?
I think they got through everybody.
Is it just? I guess we're
going Compress back to, is not in the game anymore. We already pretty much took care of Spinner. Like,
so are we going back to? You think we're going back to Deku next chapter, or?
I feel like there's gonna be like a little bit of closure with this first, and then we'll probably get to it.
That was a good point, Josh. Thanks for bringing that up.
No,
I like this storyline a little bit more now that I think about it. I seriously think I just need to reread the series, because for some reason,
same.
For some reason, this Toga arc just always had a bad taste in my mouth, and I don't know why. I really need to reread it to really understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure why I have like a disdain for this plot.
I guess again, my thought, because I don't feel dissimilar to you, Brian. I feel like even now this arc, or this particular, you know, plot line is kind of like, it's not my favorite still, but I do appreciate it a lot more. I feel like he brought it home a little easier than he introduced it, because a lot of it was, I feel like Horikoshi spent a lot of time keeping a lot of things mysterious when he probably didn't have to. You know,
yeah.
So there's like certain characters that we didn't get a lot of investment in because he took too long to really explore them. And I understand that he was trying to kind of keep the mystery, an air of mystery around his characters, but you know, going into the final arc, I feel like it would have helped to have a stronger investment in Toga, so that we could have this resolution hit hard immediately, you know, so we wouldn't have to like think back to everything we know about Toga, which has been like dropped in sparingly across the series. But yeah, I'll say this, I did appreciate how he tied it all together. I'm really glad that, you know, it came together a little better. I wasn't super high on it, but that's mostly because I'm just not fully invested in this particular plot line. But Josh actually breaking it down also helped me appreciate it a little bit more, because I was thinking about like the Deku connection as well, and I feel like I came to the same conclusion as Josh, where Deku, it's not necessarily about Deku specifically. Like Deku is kind of like Josh said, a common ground, or just like romance in general is like a common ground for them to come together as you know, teenage girls for a minute and just be human beings, you know. to establish like an emotional connection. So, and Uraraka is like perfect for that. One thing I will add to that whole dynamic is I feel like it doesn't exactly match up, but I feel like Uraraka being jealous of Toga's certainty in herself and what she wants and, you know, what she loves, and Uraraka being more of a shy person is really kind of deep in its own way, where, you know, we've seen Uraraka like kind of dance around her feelings for Deku, and she's like closer than Toga to him. So I feel like Toga wouldn't have been as coy about it if the
Not even a little bit.
yeah, even if the situations were reversed and Toga weren't a villain and she was a student in UA, she would be like upfront with Deku about how she feels and all that stuff. And we've seen Uraraka like have like issues with her confidence, and it is cool to see them come together in that moment and make Toga feel seen as a person and list off the good quality that she has for all her life being told that she has nothing but bad qualities. So, you know, that's very touching, I would say.
Yeah, I think Uraraka could also relate almost like a little bit in a way, because she's always felt less than. You know what I'm saying? She's never been confident in herself and has probably projected that onto how others look at her. You know what I'm saying? So even though it's not even close to the same, she can somewhat empathize and put herself in a position. She really is the perfect person to reach out to Toga.
Yeah.
But it looks like Horikoshi's on a trend of sticking the landing, so that gives me hope for how the series is going to end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know,
he might have like bumped into like several like he's you know when a character is falling down and then he like from the sky and he lands on a tree and he's hitting every single branch and then he just lands at the bottom perfectly fine. That's what Horikoshi's doing right now.
Well, when you think about it, like, you know, I've made this point before, but the League of Villains are like a particularly very well thought out group of villains. They're different from other villain groups. You know, like that very first couple of pages where they're all interacting, you know, is like what separates the League of Villains from a lot of different villain groups is that they seem like genuine people and friends, and well, not friends, I guess, but like, you know, they're acquaintances and they care about each other to some degree. You know, I feel like Horikoshi put a lot of thought into the core group of the League and what they each had to say about Hero Society and how the kids can see ways to improve society based on what they've been through. So it doesn't surprise me that he sticks the landing on all of these like all the main villain, you know, fights, because these are basically the core thesis of this series that I believe he's had in his mind the whole time. So, you know, I'm glad that he is sticking the landing, you know, if anything. But also, you know, I wouldn't expect any different, just because I feel like the League of Villains is he really cares about these characters, not just as antagonists, but as characters.
Oh, wait, I guess we got to find out what happened with All Might before we go back to Deku.
Oh yeah. Well,
right.
We'll probably like spend some time with Deku, and then All Might will be brought in.
He'll be in pieces. His neck will be in pieces. You know, his arms will be ripped apart and stuff.
His neck specifically will be in pieces.
Yeah, his neck will be shattered into many pieces.
I meant his neck, the arms.
Oh, you said mech.
Oh, the mech.
Yeah.
I thought you said neck.
No, I mean, I don't think he's gonna be dead. I think he's just gonna be maimed.
Yeah.
And then then like, that's gonna be like, it's gonna like at the end of one chapter, it's gonna cut to him like defeated, and then the next chapter is gonna be how it happened.
Yeah.
It's gonna be all dramatic. He's gonna be like, all busted up.
Yeah.
And All For One's like, hey. Something.
You're an old man.
Yeah.
You couldn't
This
defeat
isn't
me
fun.
in your weak form. You think that you could have defeated me in your weak form?
Yeah, this wasn't even satisfying.
I must say, I didn't think this was how it was going to end between us. But yeah,
You
I mean,
started this, Brian.
well, I guess that's all I had to say about My Hero.
That's all I got to say.
Same.
Sick. Well,
Great chapter.
great chapter. I mean, hey, it got this much discussion out of us, and you know, I don't think
When doesn't My Hero do this though?
true.
Let's
Hey, it's a good series. Even
take a
it's
chill pill.
even if it in its down spirals, sometimes it could be at least interesting to talk about. And I think the worst crime you could commit as a piece of art is be boring, and My Hero Academia is certainly not boring. But anyway, we ready to move on?
Yes.
Then let's go.
Yes.
Black Clover. This is Black Clover, chapter 364, Do or Die. Last we left off, the Black Bulls have assembled to protect the gate. What was it? The Door of Fate to teleport Asta from the Land of the Sun over to the Clover Kingdom to help out against the battle against Lucius. So, you know, the Black Bulls have all squatted up to stop Damnatio, who has arrived to destroy the door, or the gate. And yeah, they all squat up and go for it. Basically, the person that Damnatio is stronger than a Supreme Devil, so they're going to have to defend it with their very lives. So Damnatio starts off by using his magic absorption to, I guess, siphon the mana from the Black Bulls. The strategy seems to be. Oh no, wait, sorry. Henry is using his magic absorption. My bad. I forgot that was his ability. He's trying to drain the scale energy. So they're trying to seal that away. But Damnatio uses his fucking magic sword to basically destroy the Black Bulls headquarters in like basically 2 strokes of the sword.
He put it in a holy cross.
Yeah, he said, "Judgment. Nothing's more judgmental than Jesus."
You heathen. Take that.
Feel the fiery judgments of Jesus Christ. And
Christian was baptized. And Brian.
Yeah, Brian and I
Both,
are,
Brian
Brian,
would dip in the water.
it's okay. We'll just go to confession or something. So, you know, that didn't work out. They're not doing great, but they seem to. Gray helps them out with her abilities, I guess. And in the meantime, Noct with the other Black Bulls pulls up to defend against the Paladins and what's his face? Damnatio and the angel things that are shooting beams at them.
Nice.
Zora seems to take it directly in the chest. It just like hey yo. It seems to impale him completely. Or unless like that's all curse, that trap shit that he does, and it passes through him or whatever. He doesn't seem damaged by it particularly, but
I hope.
Well, your hope won't last very long because they're still getting rocked. Magna gets hit really bad. So does Luck. Zora and Noct pull up and they also get one-shotted. But they stand up to it. They get back up, and Damnatio's like, "Do these people intend to hold out with these these desperate suicide attacks?" And he notices the fools. He notices that Gray is using their restoration, her restoration powers, while what's this guy's name? I remembered it last week. Mirror Man.
Yeah, you did.
Ah, shit.
Yeah.
Gauche. There you go.
Ouch.
I remember Gauche. While Gauche is making copies of her, and so that all of them could have their own gray that is, I guess, healing them or restoring them, which is pretty sick strategy. But then, Damnatio instantly finds the real gray, hidden underneath Charmy's giant sheep thing.
What did he use? Fucking holy Byakugan to locate her? How did that happen? He just squinted and was like,
said, there you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's what he used. Because he just zooms over to her and he's like, found you. And he slashes over towards Gray, but Gauche gets in the way. Doesn't help much because she gets slashed anyway. So both of them got slashed.
Yeah.
No fun.
It looks like Gauche gets cut in half.
Yeah, it's not looking good for either of them. Because the next page, as the witches and Finral are, trying to keep the magic going, the gate going, we get a 2-page spread seeing Gauche and Gray seemingly dead.
Dying.
If not dying, and all of the Black Bulls fall to the ground because, their magic fades away and Gray is unable to keep their restoration going. Meanwhile, Ryu is watching all of this like, ooh.
Well, Asta.
And yeah, Asta's like, everybody? But fear not, we get a big ass 2-page spread of Nero going sealing magic, and I don't know what she did exactly, but there are a number of Black Bulls still standing despite being cut up and beat up beyond recognition. I think everybody but Gauche and Gray get up again. So yeah, the Black Bulls are still in it, are still in the fight, and I'm hoping they get it in pretty bad. They show Damnatio who's who before Asta comes in and Raffle stomps him.
Yeah.
For what he did to his friends. But yeah, that's where the chapter ends. Josh, what did you think about Black Clover chapter 364?
This was a hype ass chapter. On my first read through of the chapters, this was my favorite one. And then the second read through honed in on my hero. And then on the third, reflecting with y'all, I had to bump this down to third place and put Jujutsu Kaisen on the second because it actually was ridiculous. But with all of that said, yeah, I was excited about this chapter. There's a lot of action. They was really giving it up crazy. And it wasn't, I don't think like these squabbles were insignificant. We were seeing really cool combos of their powers, like them like coordinating each other, making these super cheese. Them being able to heal and make copies so that they, can keep fighting through the attacks. That's, under any other circumstances, they was fighting anything else but one of these guys, they'd be unstoppable. I like to. That's nice to know. Black Bulls ain't nothing to fuck with. They probably the strongest brigade right now.
Mm-hmm.
Golden Dawn. I ain't gonna lie. Golden Dawn don't want no fucking problem.
No.
They're hard.
No. Golden Dawn. Yeah, Golden Dawn are getting.
Hard.
The only reason they're up there is because of
Yeah, as Brian would say.
Yeah, hard carries the Golden Dawn.
I mean,
I have all faith that could probably deal with the Black Bulls minus Asta, like on his own. Not saying he would definitely win, but he could fight them all and hold like how Damnatio is. But yeah, man, these niggas is real, and this chapter displayed that really nicely. And I have a prediction.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, sealing magic when they were all dead and how they rise like zombies, but really, they're like the Devil Brigade, so it's all just a nice theme, real metal. But this is my prediction. I think some of these guys are gonna die. I don't think all of them are, but I think a handful of them are gonna die. And all right. Initially, I thought that because of the spell, like it meant that they like all she was doing was prolonging them from dying, like setting a timer or something like that. So that they could just keep rising up until the timer goes, and then they just sustain all the damage. You know what I mean? Something like that happened in the Gray Man. Actually, I don't know if you remember when they was fighting on that ship in the water.
I actually don't remember.
It was crazy, man. The whole like this lady, like her power was like time based, so she froze time like on the ship. So anything that happened to them, like nothing really happened. But when her power, like she tried to hold down her power as long as she could until they got to shore. And the crazy thing is, she knew that it was gonna happen, and all the crewmates knew it was gonna happen, but the main character like didn't, like Alan. So he was like, "Why aren't y'all coming off the ship? Like, what's going on?" And it was like, "Yo, like this is it." And then he looked at the girl that had the power, and she was like struggling crazy, still trying to hold it like down. And they was just saying like, "It's okay, like it's time." He still didn't understand. It was really sad. And she, let go of the power, and everything got reduced to dust. Because like the fight, like the ship was taking mad damage too, and then it kept like coming back, like reforming. Like like time would just like reverse real quick and revert it back to where it was. So I feel like that might happen, but because this is Black Clover, I don't think it's gonna be that sad. Plus they're with the witches, they're probably gonna change reality so that they didn't die or something. I don't know. It could go either way, right? Maybe the author really wants to make an impact to end this series and says, yeah, like let's increase the stakes, give Asa something to really be mad about.
Yeah.
And the readers to really feel some kind of way about. Go out with a bang. He doesn't have to worry about keeping the series afloat.
That's true.
You could say they all went out like gangsters. They're not all going to get a one-on-one fight at this point. We know that. That's memorable. This is something we talk about for years. Yo, remember the Black Wolves went out like fucking kings?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like zombie kings.
Who is it that's casting
this is part of the war
in
the Bronx.
I forget her real name, but that's Nero. She's
I that's the bird, right?
Yeah, it's the bird lady.
Yeah, maybe she's gonna die. Maybe she'll absorb all the damage into herself or something like that and sacrifice. We'll see. It could go a lot of ways.
Where is her shit again? Damn, I reread the series and I completely forgot about her.
There's a lot of characters in Black Clover.
Yeah.
Was she the most recent addition to the Black Bulls? Or was
she came in during the war against the elves. So
or was it Mask Guy?
I think Zora was the newest member, if I remember right. But I could be kind of wrong about that.
Yeah. Newest member is Zora. The newest person to make the most radical change was the girl, the shapeshifter / healer.
Oh, I see what she's doing now. So you guys know what the sealing magic is, right? You remember?
Oh no, you tell us. I don't remember really.
Not specifically.
So her sealing magic is like a temporary healing thing, right? Like it'll temporarily seal people's physical histories and allow them to keep fighting, but I think it's only until the magic wears off.
Oh yeah, Josh, so you're right.
Yeah, so they are essentially tied together they're held together by duct tape essentially with the sealing
Yes.
magic.
That is the
Ooh.
Oh.
Well, you keep going, Brian. What were your thoughts, I guess?
I have a theory on what's going to happen.
Oh, Brian has a Black Clover theory. How far he's come.
Seeing Gouch get fucking clapped like that.
Welcome back, Josh.
Seeing Gouch get clapped like this confirmed to me that nobody's gonna die.
All right.
Everybody will survive at the end of this arc. You want to know why?
Why?
Because Asta is gonna come back. He's gonna fight fucking who the fuck is, what's his name again? The
Damnatio?
No, the other guy.
Lucius?
Yeah, Lucius. He's gonna come back. He's gonna fight Lucius, and he's gonna be like, "Julius, come back! Power of friendship. I want to be Wizard King." Stuff, right? Julius is gonna come back somehow, and he's going to use his time magic at the cost of his own life to reverse everyone back to life. And then he's gonna be like, "Asta, you know, seems like one of you are gonna have to be the new Wizard King." And then he's gonna die. And then the series is gonna end with Asta and Yuno fighting for the title of Wizard King, and it's gonna leave it up in the air. We're not gonna know who's gonna become the Wizard King at the end of the series.
You predicted the entire series.
I'm calling it now. I'm calling it now based off of one panel of Gouch getting clapped.
Gouch.
Damn, dude, you know him. You know Tabata personally. I didn't think you would take it this far. When we told you to read Black Clover, I didn't think that you'd make a personal and strong friendship with the author of the series.
I called it. I've called it. We are not going to know who the Wizard King is at the end of the series.
Okay, that's what you said. I guess I'll get into my thoughts then. This was my second favorite chapter. This shit was so shonen, and man,
yeah,
Tabata, man, nobody does shonen like this guy anymore. You know, it's. I feel like I've said this before, but I feel like Black Clover is the last of its kind. You know, they won't be.
Yeah, everybody's trying to be too deep.
Yeah, everybody's like trying to be too deep and dark.
Super technical.
One Piece almost doesn't count because it is from that time. You know, so it is one of the originators of this form of shonen. But yeah, I don't think there will be another one like this after Black Clover. And
I don't know, Tabata is still around, so
if he does another one.
Tabata sounds like Ciabatta.
It does indeed sound like Ciabatta.
Like ciabatta bread.
Oh yes. Yo,
ciabatta a lot of bread.
Nice. But yeah, this last 2-page spread with all of them rising up like zombies is one of the coolest things. He's very good at making his characters look super cool and determined, and I love it every time. And I was like, yes, let's go. Look at Luck, looking like a goddamn psycho.
Yeah, Luck is my favorite.
This is his favorite thing in the world. Zora looks reasonably hurt, and he's like, damn, why did I do this? But I'm here, so. Yeah, I'm very excited to see how this turns out. I would be surprised if anybody really died here, but I would respect Tabata a lot if somebody did die. Hopefully it's not Magna or Zora. But yeah, I would I think that's
The crazy thing is, it looks like he got cut really bad a few times. I've seen Zoro specifically.
They all got chopped in half. Like at one point or another, they were all like cut open and cut in half, like ciabatta bread.
This episode is brought to you by ciabatta bread.
You know,
the whole genre of it.
Yeah. He's using ciabatta bread magic. Damnatio.
Yo, stop.
Anyway, those are my thoughts. This is just so fun, so shonen. I loved every second. This was my second favorite chapter of the week. If Jujutsu Kaisen wasn't just so fucking awesome all the time, it would have taken. It would have taken first for sure. But
yeah, the Jujutsu Kaisen streak continues. It has, I can't remember it having a bad chapter.
The battle between Yorozu, I think her name was kind of mid. But otherwise,
I didn't say mid, I said bad.
True. You did say bad. But anyway, that's all I gotta say about Black Clover. Fantastic chapter. Love the art. The art, I mean, he's just so upgraded his art from the start. I've been reading Black Clover from the beginning, and it's like, so it wasn't bad, but it's very, you could see like the like leveling up of his art in the over the course of this series. And man, this guy leveled up, bro.
Yeah, if he does something next, it's gonna be like legendary. I think if the next series he does is gonna be better than Black Clover, and it's gonna be fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I'm excited. Big fan of Tabata. But yeah, I'm ready to move on if you guys are.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let us go. Yeah.
This is part of the war in the Bronx.
Undead Unluck. I'm gonna toss this over to Josh for Undead Unluck chapter 166.
Undead Unluck, chapter number 166, Untruth by Yoshifumi Tozuka. Last week, shit got pretty critical. Shen cleared out the negators, unavoid, unsheath, no, undraw, undraw, and I'm not even gonna say Billy's because he just got smoked really quick. He doesn't even count. And then found out that he had to face his friend and romantic interest, whether he admits it or not, in Yui. And Fuko, I'm sorry, I'm just so distracted by this awesome fucking color page. I did not notice this when I first started reading. I somehow skipped over this page.
Oh wow.
This is really nice. Sorry. Anyway, Fuko also started to see that, found a way to unlock his negation through, a tragedy with his friend, Mui. Pretty good hunch. Why not? Okay. Anyway, so we cut to the past with Shen basically talking about how, Fang, you always talk about strongest this, the strongest that, but what does the strongest even mean? And Fang tells Shen that those who care for others with an unwavering heart are the strongest people around, or so I've been told. I don't really get it myself. And yeah, makes sense, Fang. He doesn't care about anything else but beating the shit out of people. So, Shen comments as a child, which was very perceptive of him, that that was kind of odd for Fang to say something kind of open-ended like that, And Fang responds like, have you ever heard me tell you some stupid shit? Shen was like, yeah, good point. Fang tells him to get back to focusing. It was a nice little moment, actually, of Fang actually kind of respecting words he may not agree with simply because they came from the hands of someone that also beat the shit out of him. He respects few things in this world, but ass whooping, even if he's receiving it. Respect.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're back to Shen versus Mui in the final round. And whoever wins this fights against Fang. Fang starts grilling Fuko, and he says her full name once again, Fuku Izumo, and asks if she knows what this object is. And she's like, yeah, like that's the Nioi Kinko staff. Huh, Chris? Huh?
Yeah, you got it.
Oh, yeah. And he's like, so you do know Fuko Izumo. He didn't say her name again, but I imagine he was raring to.
He said it in his head.
And it's for sure. He talks about how he got it from going and putting his hands on some poor tribe of people until they, I guess, gave him that artifact to leave him.
No, it was
leave
a
him alone.
barbarians. They were barbarians.
Sure, but I still feel bad for them. I'm sure that they didn't do anything to prompt what Fang did to them. Or at least it was very minimal. It doesn't take much for Fang.
That's true.
So he beat them up, took their heirloom, and couldn't even use it. What a loser. And Fuko comments he's like, "Oh, I know the last person that used it. That nigga was mad strong." LOL. LOL. I know who it is. And you do. LOL. HA. All right. Anyway, so Fang's like, all right, if the truly strong, as defined by this thing, is the same person you mentioned in the past, I can't comprehend it at all, and I don't wish to either. So basically, he's admitting that this is, again, there's nothing else he understands but combat. There's no way that someone that cares about others could ever achieve a level of strength that he hopes to reach. But with that said, he does notice that when Shen fights against Mui, he gets stronger by the minute. That's dramatic. And that fact is the truth. And that sits ill with him. Fuko's telling him, like, look, just keep watching him fight and tell me how you feel later, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because Fuko says, I once was the same way after all. That was interesting. So, Shen catches Mui in the fucking chin with an uppercut palm, tiger strike palm.
You sure you can?
Blah! And but she recovered nicely. She took that pretty well.
Yeah.
And he's cheesing like his dad thing. He's really happy. And then we go
she
back
just
to
kicked the shit out of my jaw. I'm stoked.
Oh yeah. And Shen is saying, I don't need food. I don't need a place to stay either. Nothing good comes out of getting strong. Nothing but pain at. Fang's trying to let him know that, look, man, like the only thing that matters in this world is being strong, and only the strongest survive. And if you want to escape from me and rob me of my fight with Fuko Izumo, then you're gonna have to kill me, bro. You're gonna have to murder me. You're gonna have to defeat me in dead ass combat if you want to run and get away from me. So yeah. And then Shen is like, oh, so you're doing this for me? He's like, what? And Shen's like, oh, so if I get stronger, then I get it. Then my friend won't have to get bullied either, like how you're trying to do with me. And he's like, nah, fuck out of here, man. Throw them police in the garbage and then kick that garbage off the fucking cliff and say goodbye forever, because I could give a damn. The weak will die. Your sister will die. And Shen is like, I won't die. I added in the part about his sister because I know he felt that way because she was weak and small. That's
she is
my
weak
extra
and small.
commentary. Yeah. Dude. Anyway, Shen is like, yeah, I won't die, because you're gonna protect us, right? And you're so strong, so I got nothing to worry about. Which that killed Fang hearing that. Couldn't stand hearing that and then not being able to punch a hole through his face. Out of fear of his bout with the legendary Fuko Izumo. So we come back to Shen, and he's like, yeah, I get it, old man. Just like you, I was pretty slow on the uptake. But he said that, but that was that. Those feelings back then were I had forgotten, but each and every one of Mui's punches has helped jog my memory. I get stronger for other people's sake. I get stronger for you, baby, and you for me. And not just for you, Mui, but for Meizu. And yeah, old man Fang for that bastard as well. He's like, I'm sure this feeling, this emotion, and he calls out to Moon, like, "Yo, check this out. After after we fight, let's keep getting strong together, even after we both grow old. I'm sure it'll be the most fun thing ever." And it's the sweetest thing like ever. I guess in the middle of a kung fu fight, as they both punch each other in the face at the same time, and she says, "You're on." He basically proposed to her in the middle of the fight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going with that. That's pretty sick. Has that happened before?
This part? I don't think
where
so.
They propose to each other and.
No, this is new.
What about it in Mr. and Mrs. Smith? Didn't they propose to each other when they were?
Oh, I thought you meant between these two characters.
No.
I actually have never seen Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
What?
So I couldn't say.
Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
What? Well, anyway. So Shen is like, yo, like, all right, bet. This next hit is gonna decide the winner of the fight. And Mui responds, Jidale, I think. I don't know.
What she said?
Understood.
Oh yeah. Jidaule.
Jido?
Jidaule. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea.
I should have looked it up. That was very ignorant and American of me.
It was also very ignorant and American of me.
Yeah. Brian also thought it that way too, so I'm gonna put that on him as well.
Yeah, he said that. He said that to me.
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah. So Shen is getting ready to use his, use a strong move, and Fuko notices something's going on as a black aura forms around Shen. He says, "Here I come, Mui, my dear." That was funny. And he stares at her, and she just kind of like stops moving. And Fang is like, huh? Like he notices immediately. And then he jets to her and hits her with the shoulder technique, launching her very far like a Smash Bros character. And she was on high percent. She was on high percent, actually. They were both on high percent. She got hit with a really strong dash attack. But she couldn't move because she got hit by Untruth. And his negation ability has unlocked, and the tragedy is about to unfold because he has launched Mui off the mountain that they were fighting on. Did y'all know that they were fighting on the mountain? I forgot.
I didn't recall that, but
right.
I guess they were.
Not that it matters. That's whatever. Anyway, Shen jumps immediately and skydives after her. And Fang says, "You fool! Don't waste your life for that weakling that lost. Fight me instead, and then lose your life." And Shen's thinking to himself, "Yeah, well, I caught Mui, but this is it. Whatever. At least she knows I love her and I ain't no bitch." I could go out like that. That's cool, I guess. And I won the fight. I went out a winner in combat and in romance and chauvinism. So, but before his dreams could be realized, Fuko dives right after him with the rest of the negation crew, and she says, "Listen, call for it without looking this way. Call for the Nyoi Kinko staff.
Yeah.
Summon it. Yeah, you like that. And then leave the rest to me." And he's like, he calls the staff without looking back at her. Tells Guala, Nyoi Kinko. And it pulls up, and the negation crew create a fucking human rope in order to catch Shen and Mui together. And Shen is like, "Why did all of you come to?" And then Fugo's like, listen, whatever, just don't look, all right? I love you. We all love you. That's what we're all about. Everybody love everybody. Love people here at Fuko Incorporated. So that's why I saved you. So shut the fuck up and don't look back. By the way, who's the person that's holding us up? And they realized it was Fang, yo. It was Fang that saved them, guys. Yo, Fang's a good guy now. Holy shit.
Let's go, Fang.
Yo. Yeah, Coco. She's looking at me like, what the fuck happened? Fang happened, yo. He's a good guy now.
Yeah, he is.
And he's like, is this disgraceful sight a display of your strength? What an asshole. So he helps them back up. And Fugo's like, no, Shen is like, I'll repay you with this gesture with my fist. I figured out what it means to be what you always talked about, what it means to be the strongest. Let's get right to it, the championship round. And then everyone's like, oh, Mr. Shen, like, chill, like, don't talk that shit. He's going to drop you because they don't really give a fuck about you that much. And he's like, very well, let's find out which of our strengths is the strongest. Wow, Fang recognizes Shen as a fighter.
Yeah.
Impressive. A lot of things happen this chapter. You have some thoughts, Chris?
Ooh, I do. This was a tough week for me in terms of picking favorite chapters of the week.
This was a spectacular week, wasn't it?
Yeah, everything was so good. But I really like this chapter of Undead Unluck. It's my third place, I guess, for what that means, for whatever that's worth. But it was just like a lot of heart in this chapter, as there usually is with Undead Unluck. But I really like, the interactions with Shen and Fang and Mui and all that stuff. So, I'm really happy that this was this went down the way it did, especially with Fang saving them in the end, because that's very heartwarming, very Vegeta-esque. And yeah, Fang is a great villain. I'm really excited to see how this ends and how he's gonna fight Untruth. Because the whole I had to look up what Untruth does because I forgot since it's been so long. But it basically makes you do the opposite of what you want to do. So that's why Mui
Fang gonna deal with that?
Yeah, that's why Mui flew away. She couldn't dodge in that moment, even though she wanted to dodge.
Yeah.
And it's stronger the more he likes you. So, he seems to really like Fang. So it's gonna have a big effect on him at the end of the day. But yeah, I think the next chapter is gonna be fucking crazy in terms of fight, and I can't wait to see how that goes. Josh, what did you think?
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed this chapter as well. Like I said, a lot of things popped off. His negation ability manifested. It was sudden. It was, we all knew it was gonna happen. It was suggested multiple times, but I still like the way it went down. It surprised me. It actually, when it happened, I was shocked. Like, oh yeah, I forgot that was supposed to happen. But it was anticlimactic in a way because obviously, they avert the tragedies, but I thought maybe there was going to be a little bit more of a heart tug, like something really bad was going to go down, but whatever. It's cool that they're just going to move forward. I'm really intrigued to see what this fight with Shen and Fang is going to be like. I don't think it's going to be a quick 1, 2, 3 fight either. I think it's going to be a long, drawn out one because, he's got to get his lick back for the previous loop. Fang is as strong as he was in the last loop, in my opinion. I don't see why he wouldn't be equally as strong. Nothing has changed, I don't think Shen running away after his sister dies made Fang any stronger than he is now. And I don't think him having to look after the kids made him weaker either.
Mm-hmm.
Especially not if what Fugo says is the truth about the negation world and that weaklings that love each other are the strongest. So the more he loves, the stronger he's going to be. Well, anyway, you get the point. That's it. Really enjoyed this chapter.
Hell yeah. Well, that was Undead Unluck then, and that has been our show. Thank you guys so much for listening. As per usual, you could find me at the Chris Aspinall on Twitter and Instagram, Josh at JD Cole _37 on Instagram, at New Jump City Josh on Twitter. Brian is at b.esp on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow the show itself at New Jump City on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. You could also email the show itself at newjumpcitypod@gmail.com with any questions, suggestions, anything you guys want us to talk about. Check us out on that, or you can comment under the video version of the podcast that we put out every week on YouTube. It's not like it used to be, obviously, since I'm still not camera capable quite yet, but we're getting there soon enough, guys. And check us out on there. Give us a like, subscribe, all that stuff. Take part in the weekly Really Good Chapter of the Week poll. I put it up a couple hours after the chapters drop on Viz's official website, so check us out there, take part in the poll, and we'll announce the winner on the corresponding show. If you prefer audio podcasts anyway, you can hit us up on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, we are on there. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. As per usual, we will see you guys next week. Stay safe, New Jump citizens.